The story is about Toyin, a young Lagos girl. She is as smart as a computer, swift like a cheetah, crafty like a serpent, and eloquent as an orator. Can you imagine a banana street seller in Lagos capturing a lawyer into marriage? Watch to the end and see how a Lagos lawyer could be used and dumped by a banana seller in Lagos. In the middle of Lagos, a city that's always alive with sound, a love story began. Toyin, a God-fearing young woman, lived with her mother, Mama Deji, a renowned fruit seller at the busy Oshodi market. Life wasn't easy, but they found joy in their modest existence. Every morning, Toyin would help her mother set up the fruit stall, arranging the oranges, bananas, and pineapples with care. It was during one of these market days that she met Bayo, a young man with a bright smile and a heart full of ambition. Bayo, a graduate of engineering, often passed by the market on his way from work. He would stop by Mama Deji's store to buy fruit and exchange pleasantries. Their interaction soon blossomed into a deep friendship, and before long, love began to take root. Bayo admired Toyin's gentle smile, while Toyin was drawn to Bayo's dream and determination. They spent many evenings and strolling through the crowded streets of Lagos, sharing their hopes and dreams for the future. As their love grew, so did their inseparability. Neighbors and friends watched with fondness as the young couple's affection for each other became evident. They were often seen together at church on Sundays. Despite the challenges they faced, Toyin and Bayo's love was a beacon of hope and joy. It was a love that promised to withstand the test of time and circumstance. Little did they know the trials ahead would test their love in ways they could never have imagined. On a warm afternoon in Lagos, Toyin assisted Mama Deji at their bustling market store, arranging vibrant mangoes and succulent pineapples for sale. Despite the lively atmosphere, Toyin couldn't shake a strange feeling she was having in her stomach. "Mama, I don't feel quite right," Toyin confessed, rubbing her abdomen nervously. Mama Deji's brow furrowed with concern. "Perhaps it is the heat, my dear. Go home and rest a bit." Reluctantly, Toyin obeyed, but the unease persisted. Days stretched into weeks, and a growing suspicion took root in Toyin's mind. One evening, alone in her room, she lay staring at the ceiling. What if I'm pregnant? She kept thinking of Bayo and the nice time they had together. Her heart raced as she considered the possibility. The next day, Toyin slipped away to a nearby pharmacy and purchased a pregnancy test. Locking herself in the bathroom at home, she waited with silent breath when she finally dared to look. 2 pink lights confirmed her fear. "Oh no," Toyin gasped, clutching the test to her chest. "I am pregnant." Her mind raced with panic. How would she tell Bayo? Would he understand? She arranged to meet him at their favorite spot, under the ancient mango tree near the church. "Bayo, I'm pregnant," Toyin blurted out soon as she saw him. Bayo froze, his eyes widened in disbelief. "Pregnant? Toyin, how?" His initial shock gave way to a nervous laugh. Well, I know how. But, what do we do now? They sat together beneath the mango tree, the weight of their situation sinking on him. Toyin bit her lip, her voice trembling. Maybe I could, She hesitated, fearful of the implications. Bayo shook his head. Family. No, Toyin. We'll figure out this together. We can't take risk like that. Despite Bayo's reassurance, fear gripped Toyin's heart. In a moment of desperation, she decided to visit a clinic farther away, hoping for a solution. But upon arrival, the clinic was closed. Defeated, she returned home, the enormity of her situation sinking in. As Toyin lay awake that night, she knew her life was irrevocably changed. Thoughts raced through her mind. How would she finish school? What would Mama Deji say? Despite the uncertainty, a flicker of determination ignited within her. She was going to be a mother, and she would find a way forward, no matter the obstacles. After all, Bayo loves and cares for her. One sunny morning, Toyin woke up, feeling like she had swallowed a whole bag of beans. Stumbling to the kitchen, she clutched her tummy. Mama, something is wrong, she groaned. Mama Deji was busy flipping akara in the frying pan, turned with a worried frown. Off they went, Toyin holding on to Mama's hand like she was a small girl. At the hospital, the doctor greeted them with concerned expression. What seems to be the problem, he asked. Feeling dizzy, Toyin struggled to explain her symptoms. The doctor recommended a series of lab tests to determine the cause. Fear gripped Toyin. She dreaded the possibility of her mother discovering a secret. After tests for malaria and typhoid came back negative, the doctor suggested a pregnancy test. He reviewed the results carefully, then called Toyin into a private office with a nurse present. Are you aware that you are pregnant? Dr. Mike asked gently. Toyin's heart pounded. She whispered, Yes, I know I'm pregnant. Dr. Mike nodded and asked the nurse to call Mama Deji. When Mama Deji entered, he asked Toyin to repeat what she had just said. Trembling, Toyin turned to her mother. Mommy, I'm pregnant. I'm sorry. Mama Deji bowed her head in shock and embarrassment. Why did you let us spend so much money? Toyin, she asked, tears welling in her eyes. Toyin, also tearful, confessed, I was scared to tell anyone. Mama Deji suspected Bayo was responsible, but decided to save that conversation for home. The doctor reassured them, explaining that Toyin's symptoms were early signs of pregnancy. With a deep breath, Toyin closed her eyes, feeling a mix of nerves and relief. When she woke up, the doctor smiled at her warmly. All done. Toyin, you are going to be just fine. Off, they all left for their house. After the whirlwind at the hospital, Toyin needed some cheering up. She called Bayo and asked him to come over to their house after work. Since Bayo accepted responsibility for the pregnancy, he could visit his would-be in-laws anytime. Shortly after this, Bayo passed his visa interview at the US Embassy. He was overjoyed, but knew he needed to tell Toyin. Bayo arrived at Toyin's house in the early evening, excited but nervous. "Guess what?" Bayo chuckled. Toyin, sensing his excitement, smiled weakly. "I cannot guess. Just tell me the good news." "Surprise, surprise, I got my visa to the US today," Bayo announced. Toyin's smile faded and tears welled up in her eyes. "So this is how you will leave me?" she cried. Bayo moved closer, taking her hands in his. "I can't leave you like that. You will join me as soon as possible, I promise, honestly." Toyin shook her head, her voice trembling. "I don't believe you. That is what you guys always say." "Trust me, Toyin, my love. The love I have for you is real. I cannot abandon you," Bayo reassured her, his eyes full of sincerity. After much persuasion, Toyin wiped her tears and they embraced. Bayo's departure felt like an abandonment and more like a temporary separation with a promise of reunion. As Bayo left, Toyin sat still on the sofa, her thoughts racing. Here she was, 6 months pregnant, and her only sweetheart was leaving for the US. With a sigh, she whispered to herself, "Well, let's see what happens next." With Bayo off to America and her life taking unexpected turns, Toyin found herself navigating the bustling streets of Lagos as a single mom. When the time for delivery came, she gave birth to a baby girl called Ayinke. Every morning, Toyin woke up with a mission to conquer the world, one hustle at a time. With Ayinke by her side, she tackled the day like a fearless warrior. The worst happened when her beloved mom passed away. Ayinke was barely a year old when this happened. Toyin thought within herself, "The God that has been with me will not leave me." So she continued the family business of selling fruit. Bayo was now in the US, and Bayo's calls seemed to be the only thing that gladdened her. The more Toyin chatted with her lover Bayo, the more she felt that the time for her and Ayinke to go to the US was getting near. Within months of Bayo leaving for the US, his calls to Toyin started reducing. They normally chat every day, but lately, Bayo had been complaining about work and school. Toyin, on her part, was busy selling fruits at her busy kiosk on the ever-busy Oshodi roadside. One afternoon, while nursing Ayinke, Toyin fell asleep on the bed. In her dream, she saw Bayo getting married to a white woman in the US. She woke up shocked and sweating, her heart pounding, dismissing it as a mere nightmare. However, the unsettling feeling lingered. She got up that night and called Bayo's line immediately, but as usual, Bayo didn't pick. Bayo only returned her calls at his convenience. The truth was later confirmed through a friend living in the US. Bayo, in a bid to secure his stay in the US, had indeed married a white lady. The news hit Toyin like a thunderbolt. She felt as if someone had poured sand into a garri that she wanted to drink. Sure, it's painful. It's like stepping on a broken bottle. But Toyin refused to wallow in self-pity. She was a Lagos babe. She started figuring what to do next with her life. It was a pity that her relocation to the US was now shattered. One fateful day, as Toyin sipped a cold kunu in a kiosk selling a fruit, a handsome young man named Biodun rolled into her life like a cake entering an oven. Biodun stood at the fruit stall and asked cheerfully, "How much do you sell your bananas?" "It's just 500 naira for the big ones. The small one goes for 300 naira, Toyin replied. Biodun was captivated by her sweet voice. "Here is 1,000 naira. Toyin turned to her bag to bring out the change. Biodun, with a contagious smile, replied, "Oh my dear, you can keep the change." Before we could say Jack Robinson, one thing led to another. Biodun pulled out one of the bananas and started eating. This banana is sweet. Did you put honey in it?" Biodun asked. Toyin laughed with her whole breath on top of her voice. Biodun replied, "Wow, I love the way you laugh." "Really? Thanks for the compliment," Toyin said. Biodun spent no less than 4 hours with her that day. He ate all the bananas, giving Toyin some to eat too. But here is the twist. Instead of telling Biodun the truth about Ayinke, Toyin decided to bend the truth. "Oh yes, this Ayinke you are looking at, she's just my niece. Is my sister's daughter." Conveniently leaving out the part about being a mom. Toyin was playing a dangerous game, but she thought to herself, desperate situations need desperate measures. As Toyin's relationship with Biodun blossomed, she found herself tangled in her own web of lies. Little did Toyin know her house of cards was about to come crashing down faster than the Lagos rainstorm. But that is a story for another day. My friend, for now, let's watch as Toyin dances on the tightrope of deception, desperately clinging to the hope of a brighter tomorrow in the chaotic city of Lagos. Biodun started frequenting Oshodi every day to see his sweetheart. He often went to some eateries to arrange delicacies for his love. He spent and spent on Toyin. The more Toyin felt she has chained him down into her life, Toyin said to herself, "I have finally caught a big fish. This one can't go anywhere." As Toyin's whirlwind romance with Biodun blossomed faster than a field of sunflowers in the rainy season, Toyin hired her daughter to be a little bride for her wedding to Biodun. Almost about the time she started dating Biodun, she took her daughter, Ayinke, to go and stay with her aunt. Toyin was a master strategist. She distanced herself from anyone who knew her as Ayinke's mother. Toyin, on her part, she wanted to marry fast so that she can enjoy financial benefits for a lonely single mother like her. Within a few months of their courtship, they were wedded in an elaborate wedding event. You need to see the event. Toyin weds Biodun. You need to see how Ayinke marched confidently before the happy couple on the wedding day. Toyin had instructed Ayinke not to call her mommy, but instead to call her Auntie Toyin. One day, shortly after their wedding, on the Saturday morning, Biodun suggested to his beloved wife that they should go shopping in a big supermarket. As usual, Toyin refused. She always tried to avoid anything that would make her go to a public place with Biodun. Toyin often schemed that anyone might bump into her and ask something like, "How is your daughter?" But on that day, Toyin decided to follow her husband of 3 months to the supermarket. Lo and behold, Toyin bumped into an old neighbor of ours in the supermarket. "Hey, Toyin, how are you doing? How is your daughter Ayinke?" Biodun's blood pressure shot up like a boiling water. "What did you say, sister? Who is Ayinke?" Biodun looked ferociously at Toyin. "Do you have a daughter?" Toyin was confused and shocked. The old neighbor quickly realized that Biodun was not aware that his wife had a child before. This was not a small sin. Biodun roared like a wounded lion. "So you have a daughter? Ayinke is your daughter?" Biodun abandoned his shopping cart and walked briskly out of the supermarket. He was so mad that he practically left his wife in the mall and drove away without his new wife. There stood Toyin, frustrated and sweating. Biodun drove out of the mall hastily, wondering where he was heading next, who to talk to. He drove to a beer parlor he used to frequent before meeting Toyin. He ordered as many bottles of beers as he could to drown his shocking frustrations. He hung out at this beer parlor until late in the night, before eventually returning home very late. With her web of lies exposed, Toyin is confused. She thought within herself, "What should I do to win my husband back? Oh, let me go and prepare pounded yam for him." Toyin got home and schemed on whatever she could to win back Biodun's love. She entered the kitchen and prepared pounded yam for her husband. Assuming he would come home soon, she waited endlessly in the living room, calling her husband over 100 times, but the number remained busy. Finally, Biodun returned home with a ferocious countenance. Biodun came in, and Toyin rushed to hug him. Biodun roared angrily, "Hey, don't touch me. Get out of here." Biodun went into the room. He opened the door, and he came out again, and he opened the main door and shouted at the top of his voice, "Before I go further, what would you do if you were in Biodun's position? Could you forgive such a betrayer? Would you continue in such a marriage?" Let's learn from Toyin's tale that any lie, no matter how long it is being covered up, can be exposed by the truth in just one day. Friends, what lessons have you learned from Toyin's tale? Have you ever encountered someone as crafty as Toyin in your life? If you are Biodun, what will you do next? Share your insight in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more captivating stories and life lessons from the heart of Nigeria and Africa as a whole. It's Adio saying bye for now.